Welcome to another Friday, folks. We yet again made it to the end of another week. And the last segment of my initial series to start off 2023 of Local Friday, FP, otherwise known as Forte Piano, from New Groove Artisan Brewery out in Boiling Springs, the greater Spartanburg area. This is a juicy oat pale ale, checking in at 5.5%, nice and easy. So what do you say we crack this open and talk about it? It's very musical themed. So let's have a little music Friday, shall we? Right after the theme song. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling alright. We're just going to forget that ever happened, and we'll get right back to business. Not a word, friends, not a word. Anyways, welcome into the Midland studio as per usual with your host, Nutmeg 2, Palmetto. It is a Music Friday, and it is a local Friday. Last week was a Connecticut beer, back down to a South Carolina beer, and one I have had in the past and very, very, very happy with. Forte Piano, FP. By New Groove Artisan Brewery. They are out of Boiling Springs, the greater Spartanburg area. 5% New England Pale Ale, hazy pale ale. If New England style pale ales, hazies are your thing, work your way on down to the comments. The first comment is always pinned. It is a link to a playlist of all the previous styles of the beer I'm reviewing on a particular day, to everything I've done in the past. This is a hazy pale New England style. The link to the playlist will be a playlist of all other New England style beers I have done in the past on the channel. This particular one, typically you think of New England style IPAs as being double IPAs, sometimes triple IPAs, something usually with a pretty moderately heavy to heavy alcohol percentage. This one not so much, only 5% on Untappd, actually 5.5% on the can. I'll hold that up as hopefully the camera will catch, the focus will catch it, but if not, you can just take my word for it. It is 5.5 on the can despite being 5% on Untappd. Juicy oat pale ale, so it's made with oat. Ooh, what does that say? Keep cold, do not age, drink today. Well, I didn't get it today, but I didn't get it that long ago, so freshness should not be an issue. I do love the can, all the music notes, G chords, all that sort of thing, just hanging out on the side. Love little musical references on cans. No ID listed on Untappd. Not a ton of rankings, but nothing to particularly sneeze at. 508 total, 355 unique, 20 average of 22 monthly. which seems a little high for a relatively low amount of quantity check-ins. However, despite the sample size being relatively low, but still something significant, the global ranking average is 4.02, so it is over 4. I have had this before. I do like this beer a lot. Little blurb on Untappd is El Dorado and Citra hops loudly playing up front, then immediately a soft, pale oat finish. So, I had this off tap. It was delicious. Never had it out of the can before, so I'm excited to share that experience with you folks. Let's not waste any more time and crack it open. Alright, let's get our Piano Man on and top this off. Not too much of a head left over. Had a decent head when I poured it, but not too much left over. That is a nice bright orange yellow. That is super, super cloudy. Very thick. All you see is just a shadow, if that. Let's get the nose. Oh, oh yeah, it smells just like it was in the tap room. Very orange. I would say orange, fresh orange is the prevailing aroma. It's not danky, it's not hoppy, it's not punchy. It's just sweet and orange like a creamsicle, so maybe for once the can will match up to the draft. Let's take a sip and find out, not wasting more time. Oh, sorry, dribbly there. Have to remember not to pucker too much. That's interesting. Light. Let's talk about it. I do apologize for that little spillage malfunction before. That is very light. I won't say crushable. It's got a pretty thin mouthfeel. It's got, if you put the mouthfeel between medium and thin, it's definitely shying more towards thin than medium. Very, very light on that note. For something, you know, citrus seems to be an enhancer. And for something as, I like to consider myself fairly novice as far, or I shouldn't say novice, but fairly amateur of actually identifying the hops. And El Dorado is one of my favorite hops because whenever I find a hazy that has El Dorado, I typically can recognize at least the similar sensation of the beer. Not necessarily what the hop individually tastes like, because I've never had an El Dorado single hop beer, but I can at least assess a similar sensation from whatever I'm currently drinking to what I drank in the past. And I'm not really necessarily getting that coming out. Maybe I've just had too many hazies lately and they're all just kind of blending together. But this one is it has a pretty neutral flavor. It has like that generic, like I get a little bit of pininess, I get a little bit of juiciness. I don't get any dankness, but a little bit of juiciness, a little bit of pininess, and it's all just kind of in the middle of the road. So nothing is like so underwhelming that you're like, what's the point? But nothing is so overpowering that you're like, oh wow, I don't know if I can finish this. It's very easy to drink, it's very easy to drink, and it's very palatable, very enjoyable, but nothing's standing out too much. And that's a little bit of a surprise to me because when I had it, in tap them off draft, it stood out like it stood out like a blast. It like hit me, and I was like, wow, that is so juicy, so powerful, in my face. Boom, 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 boom. Like striking those keys on the piano. But this is super mild, super soft. It's very juicy, very, very juicy. And it's quite frankly easy to sip on, and it's pretty crushable if you can tolerate. There is a little bit of a hop bite to it, but it's so soft, you can't really call it a bite. But it is definitely there. It is definitely noticeable. And but just in spite of that, it is super crushable because it's so light, because the mouthfeel is so on the thinner side. I don't want to say thin, but definitely more so on the thinner side. Because of that, it definitely adheres more to a crushable beer, a more crushable beer. Especially for a hazy, because, I mean, you don't often see beers that look like that. I'll even turn it around so you don't have the logo in the way on the glass. You don't typically have beers like that look like this that are crushable. I mean, people are animals and they pound it just the same, but, you know, outside of situations like that, you typically this color typically does not come off as crushable. And this is very light, fairly thin, and smooth. And when it comes down to these hazies that get pumped out every day, isn't that what you want from these? You just want something smooth and easy to sip on? I mean, sometimes the thick, deep, rich ones is what you're feeling because you want to just have that, just get blasted in the face with that flavor. But sometimes you're just sitting at home, you want something more thin because you don't want to drink something and be bloated and blown up and all that sort of thing. And this is not going to do that. This is super thin, very easy to sip on. Again, as crushable as a hazy can be. And I'm pretty happy about that. New Groove makes great stuff and phenomenal food. They do their brunches Wednesday with chicken wings on a Belgian waffle for their version of chicken and waffles. Their wings are incredible. Their garlic parm sauce, out of this world. Their food's absolutely incredible, so if you're ever down in the upstate of South Carolina, make sure you stop by New Groove for at least the food. The beers, you know, you try the beer too. This is a beer review channel. You definitely want to have their beer. But if you're not a drinker or if you're the DD, you can go there and not be disappointed either because you will be as much impressed by the food as you are by the beer. If New England's are your thing, again, work your way on down to the comments. The first one pinned is a link to a playlist of all the other New England style beers I've reviewed in the past. And if you like what you saw, if you thought I did a decent job, I hope you did. Smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. Let the algorithm work for me. It takes less than 2 seconds out of your time. Just do all that stuff and let me rise. Like a phoenix out of the ashes, so to speak. If you want to recommend a beer to me or maybe even send me a beer, email me, nutmeg2palmetto@gmail.com. And if you want the rest of my daily insanity, maybe more singing, maybe not, I don't know. Tell me if I'm horrible and off-key and you don't want to see any of that again. But in any event, daily nonsense and insanity on my social media channels, TikTok and Instagram, @nutmeg2palmetto. Until then, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm burping a lot. Carbonation is still there. Cheers, folks. I'll see you next time.